implementation, they'll be helping as well. So kudos to the Charleston Park Conservancy. And I do believe we have enough funds available in budget to take care of this initial program here. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from commission members? All right. Well done. So when is this going to go up a bid?
Very soon, that's all I can tell you. It's whenever it gets through the city process to get bids put out.
Very good. All right. The next item of business is on the city of Charleston parks. With the Charleston Memorial Park and Mulberry Park.
Correct. So on these, I was able to get some updates from Director Jason Gronsberg. So I'm gonna just zoom in on these and then read off regarding what's occurring at them verbatim for him, because he knows much more that's happening about them than I do. So this is the existing Charleston 9 Memorial Park that is located Savannah Highway next to Fire Station 11. It is currently on track for a substantial completion prior to the June 18th anniversary. There is an excavation of crushed granite pathways underway, and steel edging will follow that in order. Irrigation is 60% complete, so they're installing some new irrigation in this area. We'll go ahead and change it out to what they are proposing to make it look like. I think I got a better slide for this. 1 second. There we go. So they're installing new crushed gravel pathways. They're installing some new irrigation around it. Concrete transition sidewalks are already in place up along here. The donor patio sub slab has been completed. Brick pavers are expected to be delivered this week and installed next week. The Sofa Superstore building corner columns are completed with brick veneer and ready to be installed next week. This is a new item to the park to denote where the actual corners of the building were at this site. And then the drawings here just kind of show in general what's going to occur in terms of the rebuild and the new plantings that will be coming in. So it'll be, they're updating it to have much more plantings in the middle, having some trees, additional pathways, really trying to create a new activated route through here, given the fire station and the link between Pebble Road and Highway 17 at this location.
Any questions from commission? And I think a good bit of the brick floor has been raised by funds from the local fire union. That has contributed significantly to that. And this is a huge upgrade from what we've seen out there with these PCP pipes along the way. So along with the fire station that opened that 2 years ago. We dedicated that fire station, so yeah. So this is a very nice compliment to that. And Eric just mentioned it, for those who were here, June 18th, 7 o'clock. There's a memorial service. If you never attended the service, it's a very solemn, simple, but very well respected way to remember the fallen 9 firefighters. And I would urge you, if you have not ever attended, please come out on at the location on 7 o'clock. Yes, sir.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I just thought I'd share, and maybe somebody else saw a little article in the paper about this, but you mentioned the corners of the building were going to be marked, and it was more than 4 corners because it was multiple buildings kind of stuck against each other. But the whole intent of that is for this to become not just a place of reverence and reflection, but also a learning place, that we would have fire departments send crews here from literally around the country. We have a nice training room in the station, and the building will be marked out. The story will be fully coal, in that little patio area up by the, fire station. So that, people can come and learn as to what went wrong and what went right. Mostly what went wrong, of course, on that tragic day in 2007. But, this is part of our, city's commitment to not only respect those who gave their lives, but, to make the department better, to make other departments better. And, this is a great, case study for fire departments around the country.
Any other questions or comments, commissioners? All right.
Okay, so the next one is Mulberry Park in Ardmore. So this one is very close to the bikeway. You can actually see the bikeway from this location here. There's another retention pond on this side of Mulberry, and then there's the bikeway again. This is a location that has come to the commission a few times for some fantastic collaboration projects between Clemson architecture students and the city of Charleston. So there is a bridge now that connects Mulberry over to the West Ashley Bikeway that was designed and built by the Clemson architecture students. And then I think last year, possibly the year before, Clemson architecture again came into Mulberry Park and designed a new shade structure that went in there, a new patio that has part of it is a green roof, and then the other part just shows how to manage water correctly as a way to just give some new ideas for how to approach water and everything that we do. So I'm going to start this one out, and then I am going to actually ask Devin to come up here in a second or two because she can talk a little bit more about what's going to occur here. And I did remember your name this time. What this one is working with Charleston Parks Conservancy, Clemson Community Build Program, and the State Forest Commission. The city is embarking on kind of a brand new thing here in the city of Charleston called a food forest at this location. So with the help of community input session at the park, we were able to share the idea of this food forest concept with, and it was welcomed with overwhelming support. Councilmember Waring was in attendance and was very excited about this. The Parks Department has also attended neighborhood association meetings and received unanimous support for this project. The project scope includes an edible food concept funded through a grant from the State Forestry Commission and will serve as a pilot project for the state. This will be implemented by the Charleston Parks Conservancy as a community build project. The community build is about getting neighbors involved and to take pride and ownership in the project. The food forest will be managed by Charleston Parks Conservancy with volunteers from the neighborhood. There will also be playground equipment and fencing. We're working on playground equipment proposals to get back to the community at a later date to share what equipment can look like. The city's goal is to get this work done by the end of the year. We have some concept drawings attached here that we presented to the neighborhood, but to fill you guys in a little bit more on the what a food forest is and all that, I am going to actually invite Devin up here now, if you don't mind to fill us in.
Okay, thank you, Richard. So to give full credit where credit's due, this idea came to us.
That microphone actually on.
As a result of Donna Jacobs, who we all know and love. She was viewing a webinar that the South Carolina Forestry Commission had done on a food forest in Asheville as part of the continuing education credits, I believe that the planning commissioners need. And so she watched this webinar, sent it to me and said, you know, it's fantastic. Someone from the Conservancy should be aware of this. So I shared it with our community garden manager who said, this is my dream to do a project like this. So We met with the Forestry Commission and thankfully they had some funding that was available. So many of you know that we have 3 community gardens that the Conservancy operates, one at our office in Avondale, one on James Island, and one downtown. So we see this food forest as being sort of an evolution, a different model of those community gardens to where obviously the Conservancy will have staff that are helping, that are in there regularly, like we all are in all of our parks, but once it's established, and once we work with the neighborhood to engage the volunteers, it will be sort of this sustaining forest of edible plants. So, fruit and nut trees, berry shrubs, vines, mushrooms. We were thankful to connect with Owen Vogel, who's behind me. He is the president of the Ardmore neighborhood. So we did a meeting in the park space and then one at the neighborhood association and shared this plan and then one of the plant boards that shows some of the different plants that will be there. So yeah, happy for any questions. We are ecstatic. We do see this as something that can be scaled up or down and incorporated into different park spaces throughout the city. And and putting time and energy and resources into growing something, why not grow something that can help feed people and to work to provide healthy food access for free, throughout our city and help reduce food insecurity.
David, you just explained what more Eric is putting out these slides, what a food forest is, and explain a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So it is essentially made of edible plants and it mimics the layers of a natural forest, but again with edible plants. So having sort of a canopy of fruit and nut trees, lower berry shrubs, herbs, mushrooms, understory plants, to where there'll be some just more ornamental plants in there, but the most of it will be edible, mostly for people, some edible for wildlife, but just a edible landscape.
So is this open to the public? People come and take?
It will be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
explain that a little bit more. So
yeah, absolutely. So we will, again, similar to our community gardens, in terms of staff will be working in there, both our staff and our volunteers. And it will be a space where the community can just come and work. It'll take a couple of years for these, some of these plants to start producing food, but once they do, it will be a space where the community can just come and access food. And of course, we'll be working both through the volunteers we have and also the organizations we work with, that if there is this abundance of food where we'll be that more than the community needs, we can harvest and give it to organizations that get produce to people in need.
any commission members have a question or comment? Matt? I can see you want to ask a question.
Well, how big is the area where the food forest will be?
It is, thank you. It is, I think Eric's gonna pull it up. It's about like, I don't know. It's, it's a medium size. And it's right now, so you can see it is the top right. Yeah, where Eric's, circling there. And there's some existing plants there. It's pretty overgrown. So we'll be working with the city to do selective clearing, not a full clearing. There's some definitely mature trees that we'll keep during the summer, and then we'll start planting our stuff in the fall. Yeah, I clearly don't know. But it's a great size. It's abundant.
Big enough.
If you were going to drive there, how would you get there? If you're going to drive.
If you're gonna drive there, gosh, you would, so from 17, you would take a right onto, is that White Oak?
Yep. Well, either way,
What is it?
from 17, you'd either take a right on the White Oak, and then from White Oak, you take a left on the Mulberry. From Mulberry, you would take or you can park around there and you'd be able to see from there, and then walk through, obviously, you walk into Reach Street.
We're putting Devin on the spot.
I'm here for it.
Yes, sir.
So I would point out that they show it on their playground, it doesn't show the equipment. We're gonna have a robust play area for kids. Really will be the first one in the Ardmore neighborhood.
Long time coming.
And that connection, we have a little bridge, another new little bridge connecting from the playground over to the edible forest right there. I think that's already on board. You'll be able to, cross that bridge and cross the street to the turtle pond, get onto the bikeway, and it'll all interconnect when we're complete. It'll be like playground as well.
Any other questions, comments? We don't put Devin on the spot anymore.
I'll go back to my seat now. Thank you.
Well, at least we would know your name.
That's right.
All right. Any other comments or questions about Charleston Nine Memorial Park or Mulder? We'll go into the year in review of our revitalization commission. I think we have some. This has been handed out down the community.
There are copies available up at the front desk. It's also available online. If you go to charleston-sc.gov/West Ashley, it should be the first little paragraph on there. Plus I zoomed in pretty good on the screen here, so hopefully it'll read well. Yes, this is the West Ashley Revitalization 2022 year-end report. With this, I just wanted to give an overview of the accomplishments that have occurred in West Ashley, or at least a few of them, to let people know exactly what we've been up to. I just gave a very brief overview of all the revitalization meetings and the topics that we discussed at them over the past year. Everything from our retail recruitment and marketing up to the county transportation updates. All those presentations are available on the website. Plus we have all of our YouTube recordings of them. I won't belabor that one very much. For housing, we now estimate that the West Ashley area has about 70,000 people living in it. And that includes 72 newly annexed properties who came into the city thanks to Ms. Molly Connor over here to my right. That is a 279% increase over the previous year, by the way. So she came into the position probably about 3 months into the year and really turned this around and helped us start filling in a lot of our donut holes and improving services to the West Ashley areas. In terms of residential permits, we had 264 new single-family permits issued in 2022 and 342 multifamily permits issued in 2022. This chart might look a little bit chaotic, but let me just break it down for you real quick. What I want to show on this is just over time that multifamily permits in West Ashley, we hit a peak in 2016 and have actually been there was a very sharp decline in general shortly after 2016, and then 21 we had a little bit of a spike, but we're still not quite very high again. And then single family, same type of trajectory. It's a very smooth up and down curve there. And then in terms of the total within the city, that West Ashley did have a slight peak compared to in 2016, but in general, also in the city, permits are actually trending down for residential permits, which, as we know, is actually slightly problematic because we need about 16,000 units to come into the city so we can remain affordable for our populace to continue to thrive here. But we're working on some great ways to amend that. So, next one, we had several Keep Charleston Beautiful cleanup events. We had 14 litter sweep events held with about 316 participating volunteers. That added up to 688 hours and just shy of, just around 1,400 acres that were cleaned up. Some of the locations that we had Keep Charleston Beautiful events at were Magnolia Road, Sanders Road, Forest Neighborhood Coalition, and Panola Apartments. West Ashley High School held one. The West Ashley Bikeway, we had one. This is actually of the West Ashley Bikeway over here. We also had West Ashley Greenway, Avondale, Beast Ferry, Citadel Mall area, East Oak Forest, Samaritanburg Boulevard. And then we had 2 additional beautification events where we had volunteers planting trees and helping beautify the public right of way as well. So for those, there were 78 volunteers. Those are hosted at Oakland Elementary School and Park Shore Park. We also held Operation Neighborhood last year in West Ashley. So for that one, that was city staff from Business and Neighborhood Services, Keep Charleston Beautiful, Livability and Tourism, Public Service, Fire, and the Mayor's Office. met on site and went through, did visual inspections of the area to see what needed to be fixed. And then we also did bulk trash pickup, beautification. We looked for if things need to be fixed with drainage canals, lighting. The fire department also went through and did some efforts when it came to passing out smoke detectors and making sure people were safe in their homes at those locations. We had 53 participants. Fire safety info was distributed to 270 residents, and there were 57 smoke alarms that were installed in the apartments there.
I hate to say it, but people were using that ditch like a trash garbage landfill. They were just throwing bags of garbage into the ditch. It was crazy.
For West Ashley stormwater, so we have several major improvements that are underway from last year. We have the Windermere Drainage Basin Improvement Project. That is looking at 134 acres in the old Windermere, South Windermere area. And it will be, it'll propose improvements that can begin as early as this year, followed by other permitting through various applicable agencies. West Ashley Circle was inspected, ditches were cleaned, outfall, and the outfall for non-developed properties around West Ashley Circle. Crescent Windermere ditch project, there were ditches cleaned out along Fenwick Drive and Yeamans Road. Devonshire outfall, completed cleaning out the outfall for the tidal ditch there. That is something that has actually been very difficult to coordinate because we need a lot of different jurisdictions. Our stormwater department has figured out how to get in and start clearing out some of these tidal receiving areas that have been silted over through the past several major storm events. So that helps neighborhoods empty out of water faster. Folly Road Boulevard, this project included cleaning drainage pipes on Folly. It was done with SCDOT and their maintenance crews, and SCDOT is going to continue to perform construction activities for drainage improvements along this area. Forest Acres drainage improvement, construction began in fall of 22. And when completed, it's going to have some tree removals to help the water flow better, along with water and sewer relocations. This one's a pretty major one that as you're driving down Playground Road, you'll see some construction going on both sides of the road just before the St. Andrews Parks and Playground complex. And that's what this is. It's a very large undertaking. We also had outfall cleaning, again, in the marsh area with achieving permits from OCRM and Army Corps of Engineers. And then Old Town Creek, going through and helping that one out. In general, though, we had about 12.3 miles of front ditches that were maintained or reestablished by the city, along with 14.7 miles of piping that was cleaned, inspected, and rehabilitated.
And before you leave this part, touch on this a little bit, Eric, but all of these projects had cooperation with other jurisdictions or other entities, particularly the Old Town Creek down in Court, in conjunction with the Charleston water system, was very much involved in that project as well. So it just shows a lot of good coordination with our partners on addressing this. We mentioned the Department of Transportation on some of these as well. So as we go through these projects, working with them is critically important.
Yeah, that is correct. The stormwater stuff is probably one of our most collaborative processes between SCDOT, the county, us, Charleston Water, occasionally AT&T. That was a one that we had to move along on Playground Road. So it is highly collaborative, yes. So for West Ashley Transportation, for this one, $1.04 million in resurfacing money was expended in 21, with some additional funds expended again in 2022, 1.5 million roughly, once it was all added up. So for these, we had Sam Rittenberg Boulevard at Ashley Hall Road intersection was improved. So there was an extended turn lane put in, I believe, to get out onto Sam Rittenberg Boulevard from Ashley Hall Road. Sunset Drive at West Ashley Greenway crossing improvements. Bees Ferry at Sanders Road, received its signal, should be active and working by now. Sanders Road also has a sidewalk that is going from Bees Ferry down towards the new C.E. Williams Middle School. Glen McConnell widening project was started, that should be completed later this year. That one is adding an extra lane each direction from the Long Branch Creek crossing up to Bees Ferry Road to make it 3 lanes each direction. In addition to that, we are getting a 10-foot wide multi-use trail on the West Ashley High School side of the Glen McConnell. Tying into Bees Ferry down to the bridge area. And I believe we have some money also allocated, once the full water study is completed, we have some money to reconnect Long Branch Creek with Lake Dotterer at that location. We just need to make sure before we install anything there that it's not going to adversely impact the ecology of Long Branch Creek to reestablish that connection. Sycamore and St. Andrews, this was a delayed project, but it is combined with other projects. I have not checked on it yet. But they were putting it back out to bid in, I believe, March of this year. Unfortunately, the bids came back well higher than what was anticipated for the improvements at this location. So they were wrapping it in with other intersection improvements that would occur. So that way it was a economy of scale to get it done. But it is on the books that is planned to be completed this year. Some other items. So we also have the Savannah Highway Capacity and Intersection Improvement Project, which is being undertaken by the Charleston County Public Works. And that's looking at the intersection of DuPont and Stinson, Wapu Road, and then the Magnolia, Nicholson, Avondale, all along Savannah Highway. The idea is that Savannah Highway cannot be widened to improve the traffic flow along it. Instead, we have to figure out ways to mitigate the congestion at the intersections itself. So this one is looking at how do we do that by doing incremental improvements at specific intersections to realign roads that are misaligned or add in turn lanes, or in the instance of Magnolia, Nicholson, Avondale, it's anticipating actually creating a brand new intersection where Avondale would line up with Nicholson itself. This is all available, I believe, SavannahHighway.com, if I remember right, is the county's website for it to catch up on it. There was the Old Town District Transportation Improvements. This one is moving forward. They are going through the engineering phase right now, and they've been going through it since last year to actually get a construction set of documents done so we can get it out for bid. This is looking at the improvements to Orange Grove and Sam Rittberg, along with all the bicycle pedestrian landscaping, new intersection at Amberley, and then realigning Charlestown Road with Donahue to make that a safer location. Then the Savannah Highway and Savage Road intersection. This is another improvement where they're looking to, there's a lot of incidents that occur at this location. They're hoping to realign and make it safer and more, more safer for both pedestrians and automobiles. And then Main Road at US 17 segment A is continuing forward. This idea is to create a new flyover that will go between Main Road and Savannah Highway. It's part of a much larger Main Road project that includes elements down near Betsy Garrison and at Maybank and Maine. But this one is continuing forward as well. When it comes to the West Ashley commercial market, I just wanted to update from what we had from last year. So this year we have 7.3 million square feet of retail that is in West Ashley and 2.6 million of million square feet of office. And that's not brand new stuff. That's cumulative, everything that we've had. When it comes to vacancies, we have about 2,444 square feet of retail that's vacant and 1,116 square feet of office. So what that breaks down to is about 3.3 retail and 4.4 office percentage that's vacant. So we actually have a very competitive market here in West Ashley where, although, some of our centers may, need a fresh coat of paint, they're actually rolling over rather rapidly in terms of filling in when a space is vacant.
I can attest to that. Of course, yeah.
It's, I've been working with a few different restaurateurs to try and find them locations, but by the time you actually find a spot that can, support a restaurant already, still, there's a wait list almost, so, we're a very competitive location here, people want to get in. Charlestown Fermentary, these are just some notable commercial revitalizations that happened. Charlestown Fermentary expansion, so this is on Ashley River Road. This is a local business that was located in Avondale. Charlestown Fermentary expanded to a second location with outdoor patio and event space. This is fantastic little space just off of Ashley River Road. Their brewing and tap room in Avondale is still open and operating. This is something where they saw an opportunity to expand out and reach out to an even broader group. Charles River Labs, this photo doesn't really do it justice. This was Charles River Labs administration building. It was under construction last year. It is now open. It's on Wapu Road, and this expansion at this location allowed the biomedical firm to actually remain in West Ashley because they can now utilize the entire complex for their lab operations as opposed to taking up space for their administration. So they were able to expand their work at this spot. And this is just a really great use along Wapu Road. There was also the redevelopment in the Victory in Avondale that opened January of last year. That was a former thrift store, former grocery store that has now been turned into 5 different businesses, including a breakfast spot, nail salon, co-working space, and thank you, a second restaurant for poke. And I believe infrared sauna is the other item in there, but it's a great adaptive reuse of this building, and it is very vibrant. So, and then here in Citadel Mall, we also had Lilies of Charleston corporate headquarters decided to locate in here. So this is a fantastic nationwide producer and seller of hot sauces and barbecue sauce. It actually has recipe roots here in Charleston, and they chose to move back here. They are a minority women-owned business, and yeah, they are around the corner. Sadly not open right now, but they do open for retail events near the holiday seasons. And if you guys do see their products, it is very good. And yeah, I'll end with that. So that is the end of the update.
Any commissioner members have a question, comment? Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So thank you, Eric, for that. Always good to see the somewhat incremental, I would argue, improvements, or at least it struck me as more incremental. We're definitely doing them in concert with our other intergovernmental partners. But in terms of what the city can do, I noticed there really wasn't anything transformative in the report. And I'm hoping that as we go forward into next year and the year after, that we do have some transformative opportunities on the table, one of which is being currently considered by those of us in elected office. And I know Commissioner Smith has weighed in as well. But, you know, the city has the ability with some upcoming things to really make an investment in West Ashley. And it's my hope, and I know some of my other counterparts in West Ashley on city council, it's also our hope that these transformative improvements can really serve as the catalyst that there's a time and a place for incrementalization, but to really serve as the kind of injection in the arm to move forward. Hopefully that'll be able to get reflected in the next report as we go forward.
Good point. Thank you. One thing I'll point out, Eric, that two things. As Eric mentioned on our very first part of this project of our meeting dates, that these events are all online. And if you have any desire or wish to go back to review them, they're very easily accessible to us. Eric listed the projects for future investments on the transportation. But there are a ton of other projects in the pipeline that should use the word pipeline. We're talking about stormwater, words. But we have we just got an update at our recent Public Works Facilities Committee meeting on Monday as to the number of projects in West Ashley that are in the pipeline for the improvements. I don't think we ever got a number, a financial number, a monetary number of which those projects are worth. Some of these projects are, we call them small projects. Anything under $1 million is considered a small project. And Eric pointed out, for instance, this Old Town Creek Down, which is around $300,000, but has a huge impact on the Charlestown Estates neighborhood, and on both sides of Old Town Road. So these mini projects we're looking at, these not $50 million or $100 million projects, but it has such a tremendous impact on these neighborhoods. So we didn't list what's in the pipeline, but needless to say, those are out there in that. So I just wanted to make sure that we were well aware that that's not a 2022 project, but it is. These things don't pop up overnight. You've got to do the study, you got to do the design, you got to fund them, you got to go build them, and some of these things happen over a 3 or 4 year period of time to get addressed and get accomplished. So, well, we maybe make sure we put those kind of future projects in this report as well. Any other comments, Commissioner? Yes, Matt?
I know we have subcommittees for some of these topics, but when you think about transformative projects, things that I think about are gateways. I think about connections. Where are you hitting people in the public right of way? So we've described a lot of storefronts, and storefronts, you have a new business that comes in, and maybe that business transforms that shopping center for the people that utilize the shopping center. But the place to hit everybody is in the public realm. And so how do you show people when they're coming to West Ashland that when you're in the public realm, this is a representation of what West Ashland stands for? It's at the gateways and it's at the connections. And so I know we have a subcommittee about gateways. So I look forward to resuming work on that. I think we have some part of connections maybe in that subcommittee as well. And I think the wayfinding is important, the bikeway. But if you can't speak to the bikeway when you're on the highway, you're not connecting with people. And so I think there's a lot of opportunities. I think we have to have a very productive year, though, Councilmember Brady. We have to have a very productive year as a working committee. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So it seemed like earlier part of the meeting was mostly park improvements, and if you don't mind, I'd just like to round out a couple of additions. The Greenway, Bikeway, signage improvements, the Charleston Memorial, Mulberry Park. I know y'all, we've talked about these at some of the meetings, but with the opening of Carr Richardson Park, which is beautiful. If y'all haven't been there yet, please go. The groundbreaking by the county of Old Town County Park. We talked about this last year, but the city will be putting out the bid this summer, the Shadow Moss Ecological Park, which frankly is the first city park in Shadow. It's hard to believe, but when they first built it, it didn't include a city park. We put in an application to buy about 5 acres on Woodmere, just off of Ashley Hall Drive. And we called the beach company, who we found out owned that lake and that little island behind it. And they agreed to give us about 8 acres. So it'll be a combination of woods and a lake. Maybe we can do kayaking or something long term, but we'll have a nice opportunity for a future park there. And then we just accepted 10 acres or so behind the old C.E. Williams School, near, part of the Carolina Park development.
Carolina Bay.
So Carolina Bay, sorry. So those were some other park, improvements and additions that are already happened or in the works. To some extent.
Took off my chair.
Oh,
That's not- no, indeed.
it wasn't on the agenda we talked about.
No, but I think it's important that we, like, within the future, what we've accomplished in 2020, is also, we're not highlighting those, so, yeah, appreciate you bringing those out. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor,
Use your microphone. The Charlie will let you. Share, Charlie.
Mr. Mayor mentioned the new Richardson Park. I would like to find, you may not have this with you tonight, but the reason for the delay in the signage. I was told that they are utilizing a different vendor for that, but we do not have an update on why there's that delay for the signage. It is a beautiful park and it's being utilized by citizens from all over, young and old, so it is definitely being utilized. Question about the project on Playground Road. Do you know approximately how much time that project will take place before completion? No, okay.
I do not have that answer, no, but I can check on both of those.
Okay,
Yes.
and then the third one, going back to Sycamore and Samantha's Boulevard. That is a safety issue that has been on our agenda for a very long time. I understand about the bid coming in and being very high, and so you had to rebundle that. Again, once the bidding goes out and you find one that's acceptable, approximately how much time will be needed to actually complete the task. But again, we talk about connecting the neighborhood and being able to see some kind of connectivity. But again, it is a safety issue regarding the San Andreas Boulevard, and every car, every vehicle that moves through that place. We know more than 40,000 vehicles utilize that spot on a daily basis. Thank you.
Yeah, that's one I'll have to check on with the county. They're the head of that project, but I can check. I know who the project manager is.
Thank you.
Just for that project, as you know, we've been working on
I
that
know,
at least about 5 years.
right,
And-
that's why,
And we try to come with some ideas of where the bike way and Greenway are intersected by Highway 61. And there's been a lot of pushback against a lot of suggestions that we could have come up with ideas, alternatives there. So the Sycamore was the compromise solution to that. But I drive through there every morning, every afternoon, and you're absolutely right about the safety issue that I'm concerned with that. Because there are a lot of folks who use that as a means of transportation, bikes to get across. You get not just for pleasure or exercise, but for that's that mode of transportation. And getting across that intersection is extremely dangerous.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
am I correct in stating, is that supposed to be a temporary solution at Sycamore and St. Andrews? No, so have we given up hope of a direct connection across St. Andrews and in any way or elevation?
We have not given up. And the city had an opportunity to apply to the Bloomberg Foundation for some funding for that crosswalk. We hadn't heard yet, but hopefully the county will feel, and the highway department feel a little differently about it if we can bring some money to the table to actually do it. So we've applied to Bloomberg to get some funding for that. We're not giving up.
but in reality, that was really two different projects, because the safety situation at Sycamore and Andrews Boulevard, that's one item. And then the other item was to connect the bikeway across Andrews Boulevard so that people would be able to utilize it in a safe manner. So that really was two different, and so they sort of led to one about connecting the bikeway to fall below the radar, so to speak. and, put the emphasis on Sycamore, but that both spots needs attention.
If we change it.
Yes.
All right, so we'll open up now to the public comment period. Did we receive anything online?
Over my computer for that.
Did anybody sign up beforehand? A live?
We did not have anyone sign up beforehand, but if I can get just a show of hands of anyone who would like to talk. 1, 2, anyone else? Okay. Let me do the online, 3, sorry. Let me do the online
See you back.
first, and then we will call for everyone else. All right, so we had 2 people who submitted online. One was Miss Ann Jenkins. She would like to know about the rules of engagement along the greenway. When walking, biking, jogging, do you have to stop before entering the intersection at a crossing of a road? Sorry. The short of this is yes, that is the official policy. Yes. That is the official policy is that yes, walking, biking, jogging, they are supposed to stop at the crossing, and part of I know Ms. Jenkins, you arrived a little on the later side here. Part of our new bikeway packaging and greenway packaging for signage will have larger stop signs as part of it. So people are aware that they are supposed to stop at the crossings. The other submission was from Robin Hargett. And they said in 2018, there was a discussion started with Councilman Shade and the Director of Parks, Jason Kronsberg, regarding improvements and revitalization of Park Shore Park in West Ashley. And they were just curious when that was going to come about. I did send this along to Director Kronsberg. I have not yet heard back as this was submitted relatively recently, but when I do hear back, I can update you guys on that one.
I can assure, let you know that Beth is going to assign as a project manager for that. So having her in place will help to move that project.
1 second, move this guy over.
So when you come up, you please state your name, so we have the record of that, and can we do 2 minutes? Okay, so who raised their hand? That's all, 2 hands. Over here and 1 over here, so. Come on up, don't be afraid, and our new Sandhurst residents, not new anymore, you've been here for 2 years. now.
I've been here a couple of years. Waiting for Park Shore to open up. Something in Park Shore. My name is Jennifer Smith, and I have a few questions. The gentleman across the table who you brought up, the beautification of the gateways, I'm absolutely on board with that. I appreciate what you're doing with the bikeways. Sounds wonderful. But I want more information on the gateways. Because I think if we can show the beautification coming over across Cosgrove, coming across the bridge from downtown, the pride in West Ashley is going to spread. You go to Mount Pleasant, looks completely different when you come over to West Ashley. We need to bring some of that pride to West Ashley. Question I have is we have I'm sorry. Do we have an architectural board that we can go to meetings, put in input?
We do have a commercial architectural review board. It's over just our major corridors, yes. But
They take public input.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, because as you drive around, we have a lot of transmission shops, Mexican restaurants, nail salons, a hodgepodge of mess, chaos. And is there any way we can start having some type of review board so we kind of architecturally all get on the same page?
So they
So that's
review
what
new
makes it
projects
exciting.
as they are submitted to the city, not so much doing any type of enforcement or updates to the existing businesses. So if a new transmission shop was to come in, they would have to go through the architectural review board at that juncture.
But it's not, on this board, are they kind of have a big picture of lack of a better word, kind of a theme, not a theme, but kind of what you're looking for, big picture, so we don't have a hodgepodge of chaos?
I can get with you after this and explain some more.
All right, and lastly, you talk about your bike trail. And how big is this bike trail? How long is it?
The West Ashley Greenway is about 9 miles long and the bikeway is 3 miles
Okay.
roughly.
What is your estimate? For the cost of this construction that you're talking about, all your signage?
Ooh, I do not know that one off the top of my head. That would be a question for our
Oh,
director.
I
of
thought you
posts,
said it was
but,
already approved.
The
It's-
signage,
Yeah,
The
that-
funding was already approved,
the budget was about $100,000.
there you go.
$100,000
Yes, ma'am.
to cover how many miles?
About 12 miles.
Okay, and that's already approved, the $100,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And who else? Again, please just make sure we get your name for the record.
My name is Trent Humphrey. I live in Caroline Bay, apartment building called the Hayward. And I have a question about the intersection of Glen McConnell and the road that is for West Ashley High School. But it's basically the turn into where you get to West Ashley High School. I think I'm getting that right. Anyways, I biked across this and this is just a clarification question really, but Eric, you mentioned that, would you mention that there were improvements at that intersection?
There will be
There will. Okay,
as part of the Glen McConnell widening.
okay, that's what I thought. That was my main question, but I guess my secondary question is about the annexation. And I guess what I'd like to know is, it says that there are 7,300 properties that are surrounded by city limits that are not yet annexed to the city. What is the annexation goal? Do you have a specific goal? Like, do you want all 7,300 properties to be annexed? Or do you have like a certain boundary that you're looking for to be city of Charleston and then transition to the county? I just think it would be a good idea to define where you'd like your annexed properties to be coming from.
Not really. Yeah, we all three of us may chime in. So there are several locations in particular neighborhoods, like in Avondale, for instance, that are not within the city limits. And in Pinecrest neighborhood, in Huntington Woods, in my particular district, are several residents. It looks like missing teeth, if you would, in those particular.
Yeah, I've seen the maps.
Yeah. And so the issue, there's several issues involved why this is a problem, particularly from my perspective. Providing services, there's a duplication. You've got a St. Andrews Public Service truck driving down the same street in skipping over one resident to pick up the trash or garbage. When there's a city truck that comes the day after or the day before, that's a duplication of services. You're going down the same street. You're not coming to what house, block number 1, but you're going to house number 2 or house number 3, then number 5. In addition, if we're having concerns dealing with infrastructure, we're dealing with the different jurisdictions on addressing that. It's something as simple as putting in a stop sign at certain intersections, or if you want to put in traffic calming devices. You can't do that. If you have enforcement, that one neighborhood wants to have a speed enforcement on taking place, the city can't do that, yet bring in the county to some multi-jurisdiction. There's a whole host of issues. I'm touching on a few of them, but it's ineffective government, quite frankly, when you've got these donut holes not incorporated into the city. In addition, some of the services we provide, particularly with fire protection, police protection, they don't worry about the jurisdiction components. The St. Andrews Public Service District will respond to a fire if it's within close proximity to that fire station. So I don't know if we have a specific goal and say we want all 7,000, but we are knocking these off door by door, residence by residence, or commercial space by commercial space. In addition, we're losing out on the potential several when we guess on the dollar amount on development. There's a particular development we heard here at the Revitalization Commission off of Savannah Highway. Where there used to be a auto dealership there, this Placid's project. Is not in the city, so not being in the city when that project is built, and completed, we're losing out on property tax dollars, we're losing out on business license fees. And hospitality and accommodation taxes, by probably not being in the city, and so there's a financial
Stricter standards, the county.
yeah, and so there's a huge issue regarding the annexation that we need to be aggressive on.
Okay.
The mayor may want to supplement that a little bit, or.
One thing I would add is. Only thing I would add is we're wary of properties that have known flooding. We don't want to take on any more liabilities. We do review any history of flooding. On properties.
That makes sense. Eric, I have one more quick clarification question, because you mentioned a 16,000 number when you're talking about permits, and I didn't exactly catch what that meant. But you're mentioning the number 264, 342, and then the graph. I was looking at the graph. But then you mentioned
2016.
His
16.
comma was in the, he pronounced the comma in the wrong place.
Yes.
It was something like 160,000, you said 16.
Are you referring to the housing unit? Brad,
Number of permits.
when you talk about the housing unit?
Yeah, so when you meant to say for 2022, you meant to say 1,600, but you said 16,000.
There you go.
But I think you might have been referring to a comprehensive plan identified citywide
Citywide.
by the year 2030. Our estimate is that we need 16,000 units of affordable housing in the city.
Okay, that makes sense. Why it's citywide, because 1,600 was the 2022 number, 16,000 is your goal for 2020.
2030.
Okay, that makes sense. I just wanted to clarify that so everyone understood.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, one other hand, please. One round. Did you want to think about the annexation?
So you guys have
You wanted to think, okay.
Yeah, you go ahead. We had all my talking points.
I did.
Mine too. Almost.
Sorry.
Mayor Tecklenburg, Chairman Shady.
Your name first.
Oh, you're there more important. My name is Jackie Morpheus, Old Town Acres.
Yes, we just have to make sure we get your correct.
Everyone, I just want to praise the beautiful work that Devin and Eric did. I thought it was just lovely from the very beginning. And especially the logo. When I saw that logo, I saw half the top part of a flower, I saw leaves, and I actually also saw a bumblebee with wings. I mean, it's so many multi-layered nature, the earth, the creatures. It was just the whole identity that they've created was for me very welcoming, inviting, peaceful, and uplifting. And I know there's more to do with the whole Greenway project. I know there's other pieces of the puzzle, but for me, what you presented tonight showed you put your heart in this. And I know Devin from our old days at the library, and I know her heart is in everything she's doing. And Eric, thank you. And the other thing I wanted to praise was the Charleston 9 Memorial. And I have a heart for people that have been touched by the tragedy of a fire, those who survived fire, the relatives of those who have perished in a fire, and the loss and trauma that comes from that. And I just want to say it's a blessing that we're able to honor those who suffered in this for generations to come, so that it doesn't end in tragedy, but it ends in hope. And that's all I want to share.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
I'm Paul Schultz. I'm 74. I've lived in Charleston for 65 years, moved here in 1958. I remember when Harrison Acres was Harrison Farm. I remember when Hudson Nissan was a par 3 golf course.
I remember that too, by the way.
There you go, okay. So, first thing, Eric and Devin, terrific.
Thank you.
In the last 15 months, I'm retired, of course, the last 15 months, I've been driving ride share. So I've driven 40,000 miles in the city. I'm very familiar with intersections, with places. I've learned more about the city in the last year than I had in 64 years, really. So Ardmore, I remember when Ardmore was a brand new subdivision. And I want to commend you. I've been by Mulberry Park and people are already using it. Having picnics in
Excellent.
the place, okay? That's good. That's a great addition to that community right there. There is an intersection. I'm having a senior moment. There's another commendation I want to give you. But there is a very dangerous intersection near where I live. Okay, I live in Walkley Shores. At the intersection of Walkley Road and Garden and Overdale. That's a school zone, 25-mile-an-hour school zone. And if you come to Wapu on Garden and look essentially south, people are coming off of Edgewater Park on a blind curve. It's a long protracted curve and then it gets sharp just when the school zone sign shows up, which is often obliterated by foliage. When you're headed towards Edgewater Park, there's a flashing sign. When you're exiting Edgewater Park, there's just a 25-mile-an-hour sign. I've nearly been hit there many times. Okay. People coming off of Edgewater Park, particularly construction people, residents, coming on that school zone at 50 miles an hour. So at the stop sign, when you look, I've timed it, and you're pulling out, you got 4 seconds to get out of the way. And it's complicated because Overdale's right there, and people are trying to make an L shape. So I've talked to the city, I've talked to law enforcement, I've talked to a lot of people trying to get something done about that. And there's been a little bit of movement on that, okay? But that's an area I want you to be mindful of, okay? And I can't remember the other thing, but besides Mulberry Park, you've done some really great work. And I like it's been a long time. I've come to these meetings before, but it's been a long time. So God bless you.
We'll get back to you about that curve. I think we know what you talked about and.
Yeah. Well, one more thing. The last time I was here, I really raised Cain was about the battery. And God bless you for taking care of the battery walkways. You know, okay.
Thanks. All right. Well, yes, sir.
May I go?
Yes, come on.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Hi, my name is Owen Vogel. I have more of a statement, less than a question. It can turn into questions, maybe. We'll see how it goes. A few years back, I familiarized myself with the West Ashley Revitalization Commission and the literature online, hundreds of pages, over 300 in fact. Reading through those, I was looking for some key indicators on what was included and what wasn't included, and a lot was included. Well, one thing I couldn't help notice was our neighborhood was embarrassingly underrepresented. And the neighborhood I'm talking about is Ardmore and Sherwood Forest as well. So being here tonight with Devin and y'all and going over to Mulberry Park and the food forest, it's great. It's a breath of fresh air. People are very, very, very excited. But if you're looking for more small victories or even large victories in 2023, we're open for business. So, yeah, we need a lot more. Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. All right, anybody else? Thank you all for coming, as always. We feed off y'all's energy, by the way. It's really important to hear from you guys. Do it online, it's a convenient way, or would you just sit here tonight? Thank you for those comments. And we'll follow up on what we can with projects. So before we leave, a couple of dates, July 12th is our next Revitalization Commission meeting. I presume we'll be back here. June 18th is the Charleston Memorial Service. Please try to make it out for that. Every Wednesday, between 3 and 7 at Ackerman Park is the West Ashley Farmer Department. Please try to come out for that. With that, we're standing adjourned. Thank you all for coming.